the Deputy Speaker of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, Umkhuluwa, the MEC for that, Honorable Bramlu, CEO Ubawo Vijay, distinguished and honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor first to receive this invite to be part of this historic and august occasion. When the idea of internet connectivity through fiber installation was presented to myself and the stakeholders, we welcomed it. This we did for two reasons, Program Director. First of all, we understood that it gelled with one of the pillars of the municipality, that is making Buffalo City Metro a connected city. Honorable Minister and MEC, Ward 48 has 3,721 households and 8 informal settlements. Majority of its residents are old age people and school-going youth. The old needed internet for the betterment of their lives, in health, knowledge, etc. Whilst the youth won't be traveling to NU14 and highway to access information. That was the second reason. I feel it prudent to mention the strides, Program Director, that Ilitha has done in the ward. So far for the benefit of the community. These that they have done are not related to their business model, nor their modus operandi, but through the shared interest of community development. In January, Ilitha bought and delivered school shoes, sanitary and dignitary packs to every school in the ward. And every child and learner in the ward. Abantwana balapha banxiba izihlangu bombathisiwe Ilitha ngoJanuwari. They assisted us in the fight against unemployment and poverty elevation by employing 75 community members, some of which have been absolved to stick a bit more with the project since it is going in other words, not to mention the involvement of SMMEs. That's the work Ilitha has done. And mind you, they did all of this without collecting a cent of revenue. They did it from their pockets. In the month of August, they donated 300 blankets for the elderly. By doing all of this, Ilitha has won over the hearts of the ward. Ilitha has become part of the ward. Bishop Andile Mbete usually says that when you take care of the most vulnerable amongst us, you are in the right track. What we call the underbelly layer of the society. Ilitha has come to take care of the underbelly layers of our society. I think, therefore, this distinguishes them from other ISPs. Honorable Minister, Mtansane from his establishment, the Bishop was correct. Through the Group Areas Act that we know, the infamous act, was never meant to prosper. People were moved from the city's proximity as far as possible so as to be labor reserves for the then majority government. Today, this moment is not just a launch for us as Ward 48. It's not just a mere moment of switching on the plug. For us, this is switching on of a faster life. This is a switching on of an easier life. This is a switching on of a healthier life. This denotes a switching on of a more educated child, a switching on of indeed endless possibilities. Honorable MEC and Deputy Speaker of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, we grew up here, being in the periphery of the center. By switching on of this network, we are now gravitating towards being the center of the periphery. Welcome to Buffalo City Metropole. Welcome to Mtansane. But most importantly, welcome to Ward 48. Thank you.
Great communities, great individuals, and even great leaders will tell you that nothing great was achieved from a place of comfort. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one such leader and one such visionary to outline for us the purpose of this day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our very own CEO of Ilitha Telecommunications, Mr. Vuyani Chahana.
Speaker of the Eastern Cape Legislature, Honorable Mlebu Koboshiane, the Head of Infrastructure and Business Services at IBC, Unina Giosen, Usisi Zodombele, Group Executive for Transacting at the DBSA, Motse Mfuleni, the President of the BITF, the representative of the HOD for Department of Rural Development and Agral Reform, Dr. Da Udabujaka, and I'll talk a little bit, Machaya, about the journey. Thank you very much for the welcome here. It's an appropriate welcome. We feel very privileged to have started with Ward 48. As far back as 2019, in fact, much longer, we looked at the landscape of communication in South Africa. We always knew that given the years we've spent in the industry, that digitization and the acceleration of the use of data is going to be the big thing for the country, and it's inevitable. And in my previous life, we built platforms that talked to this, and we had no view of COVID at the time. But we knew that schooling is going to be digital. We knew that healthcare delivery is going to move from the doctor's rooms and hospitals to the homes. But you can only do that if you have got an effective broadband service that is good quality and cost-effective and affordable for all. The United Nations declared internet as a universal, as a basic human right. And that's great, but that declaration is only material as if you can deliver the broadband, the quality broadband at the right price. Otherwise, it's a hollow victory for many communities on the edges of the suburban settlement, so to speak. So we looked at this. We said there has to be something that we can do to actually make sure we can make broadband affordable to the townships, the peri-urban areas and rural areas. And that was the birth of Ilitha. So what we are doing as Ilitha, we are rolling out appropriate technologies to connect the underserved communities. So appropriate because it must be fit for purpose. Optic fiber for highly dense township communities, fixed wireless broadband for rural areas that gives you almost the speed of fiber, and in some sparsely populated areas, satellite backhaul, satellite-based kind of communication will be the solution. The trick here is how you engineer this thing and architect it so that you can deliver a meg of data at the lowest cost possible. That's the trick about affordability. So we have worked on the model. We also believe that you can provide super fast broadband at the back of the satellite communication if you engineer it correctly without paying the arm and the leg. The advantage we have is that we were born in the industry. All we studied was telecommunication, nothing else. So you can't ask me about medicine or anything, but telecommunications, there are very few people who will tell us something we don't know. So we're using that knowledge to actually shape how services are delivered in this country to actually benefit the poor. The irony, Honorable Minister, of this South African context, and I guess in many parts of the world, is that those who cannot afford communication, they pay more for it. And more often than not for inferior service. Because the business model for telecommunications is driven by two things. One, it works on the basis of tenure, that if you commit to give me so much money per month for the next 24 months, I'm going to give you the lowest cost to carry the service. I may even throw devices and throw the sink into this thing because you're giving me annuity income. That's one. The second model is that if you're going to do prepaid, I incentivize you when you buy big volumes. If you buy 5 gigs, 10 gigs of data, today you pay average of 450 rands. But if you buy 1 gig, you almost pay in average. Last time I checked, it's about 80 rands. Look at it. So if you buy a meg, you pay arm and a leg. So then the people in the townships and in the rural areas are not able to do the contracts. It's a very small percentage. So therefore they don't get a benefit from the benefits of tenure. At the same time, no one has these big chunks of money to buy big chunks of data. Therefore, they buy smaller sizes of data packages, paying more. And more often than not, the quality of the broadband is not great. If you look at Mtenzane, Mzi, who is our CTO here, will tell you, more often than not, you see an hourglass when you try to do a Teams session. So you pay more, quality is not great. So we saw there's a business model there. What we then decided to do is to say we'll connect townships at scale as a starting point. So when we come into the township, we connect through aerial fiber, and then we descend in Ward 48. We said to Machaya, we're not going to choose the rich and the poor. We don't ask who earns the money today, salary or not. We connect the home. We put the router, we get it live, and it's a public network. We provide the service on a prepaid basis, and prepaid not to say pay me $4.99 on a prepaid. That's not prepaid. It's a no contract offering. What we do is saying, if you want to access data today, service today, you buy today's. You buy a service for today. You can buy it for a week. You can buy it for 30 days. So if you are hungry, you don't wait until you have money to buy a loaf of bread. You buy a quarter. Then why do we say our own people, we must make them wait until they have the money to buy a loaf of bread? They're hungry today, give them the chance to buy a quarter. So if you buy a loaf of bread, great, because then you get better discount structure. So that's the model. The second part, the minister of this proposition, is that we know that not all families are of the same size. That we know. And what we then have done in that context is that there are families where there's an individual who lives there, so we have a single device offer. There are also families where there are 3 people in the home. Now, if I live alone, why burden me with the cost of something I'm never going to consume? So this is where, when you start to look at business models for the market you are targeting, try to be more inclusive. You have to make sure you don't burden the people. You can't charge things that for people they don't use, then actually you break the model. So we have said, if you live alone, we pay 3 rand a day to access internet on single device. That's what we do. If you have 3 devices or there are 3 people you pay, the lowest you can pay is about 5 rand a day. If you have a bigger family where you want to connect many devices, many people in the family, you can connect up to 10 devices. You'll pay 10 rands a day, which means per month is about 299 or 300 bucks. Now, effectively, the cost per device is 1 rand to access internet. This is not the internet that is a Transayo, which is not short. It's a solid internet, super fast speed. 25 megabits per second upload and download. Not contention at the device level. We have a smart engineers here, we work with them. We said, it's not to say when there are many of us eating off this thing, then it's okay to get less. We have engineered to say at a device level, you get that throughput speed. That's the quality we have assuring. So we have always believed that the fact that we from rural areas and in township may not be rich, we have the dreams, and the dreams of the poor people are not poor dreams. We dream the same dreams of being successful. When you bring the service, you must bring the service that's affordable, that is a great quality. And Councillor Jacka, you will attest to this. You consume the Ilitha service today. So that is the proposition. Now we are bringing internet to the township. We're starting here. We have 5,000 homes passed. I think We will do 3,000 homes connected, 600 squatter camps, all of that is informal settlements. We are going to connect them. So we bring everybody into the internet. We leave no one behind. That is the proposition. And many of you will say, these people are going to lose money at R1 per device or R3. Where do you make money? It's in the design, it's in the economics, it's how you procure, it's how you partner. It's about purpose. Our purpose is connecting humanity, creating possibilities and changing lives. If you are a partner in the value chain, a supplier, you don't share that purpose, you're not worthy of being our partner because you are not going to see us through what you want to achieve. So purpose is super important for us. So that's one. Secondly, before I am going to summarize now, secondly, the choice of capital providers is a well thought through because we want to investors into Ilitha who are more impact investors than short-term extractionists. People want to say, I want a quick buck and go. Fiber has a lifespan of 30 years. It's a 30-year investment that we put in the word Machai. Now, if we want to monetize it in 24 months, we can, but we'll shoot the prices to be off the roof. Nobody can afford it. We'll cherry pick which homes. You look at modified houses, the big houses, the massive cars. We'll only pick those. We'll leave the children of the poor not to be able to go to school in an age of digitization. But how we've thought about it, patient capital becomes key, finding people who are impact investors long term. There is a talk, President of the BITF, of consolidation in the industry. Yes, you can drive consolidation, but I think it's premature because the industry is on the rebirth. It's just being born. So there's no reason to consolidate when so many people are underserved. We have to build the infrastructure, build commercial models that make sense for the communities, and still deliver a return on investment to shareholders. So that we will do. That's the commitment the Ilitha team has made. But we want to go beyond internet. We want to be able to work with partners like the MICT CETA, and others to train the young people from Tanzania on digital skills for the digital economy. Once you have the highway in each home, like we have done now, affordable, there is no reason why we should not train the young people on data science, data analytics, coding, so that we can go together and campaign for global digital workloads. Companies like Amazon, eBay, Microsoft, IBM, they farm out work. What was called call centers before has come to be more digital. So why should we not look at that? But you can't do it if you don't have the broadband. You can't do it if you don't have the skills. For the first time in the province, MEC, the Eastern Cape has what we call the point of presence for the internet. Internet in this country is brought in through Hazelfontein in Cape Town and Mtunzini in Durban. The other provinces have to build the infrastructure to bring it home. If you're an ISP selling internet in this province, you pay the price of the landing price in Cape Town up to until Work Online built at the ILTZ data center, the node that supports us. Through our investment, more and more other providers of internet to the communities in this province will benefit, but investment is needed. So that's where we are. We have the colleagues from KZN. We first and foremost, we intend to connect all 45,000 homes in Tanzania. We are not going to leave anyone. That's our mission. We have also seen how young people start to access education content, Khan Academy, and many other free education content because everything is possible. In parallel to the investment, we're going to KwaMashu, where we will be deploying 60,000 homes in KwaMashu, in KZN. We have the colleagues, the delegations here from KZN who have come to witness this because we've been working with them on way leaves. So we are going to be accelerating. What is key is the ability to raise capital, but also regional networks becomes important. So there are things people forgo. because all the money is going to Ilitha, is Tanzania. So for that, I am asking, I'm thanking everyone and saying, we have not stopped, we're going to continue asking for money to put in Tanzania, so it's not over yet. So program director, that's the end. If anything, I would like everyone to remember, we are here to stay with a scale to 55,000 homes. It's an affordable broadband. It's for everyone. It's used at home and out of home. Most importantly, we want a layer of digital services. The township economy must come to life at the back of the Ilitha investment. Hence, an ecosystem of partners must work with us, whether it's in agriculture, where we talk about precision agriculture. If you look at Israel works on small pieces of land, desert. So good models are replicated for townships. It's limited space, high-rise farming, precision. We can set up many other smaller ISPs enabled by broadband and digitization. So the possibilities are there, but we have to work together to realize that. If all we do is to provide internet to Tanzanian people and not do the layer of creating digital jobs, we shall not have succeeded in our books. Thank you very much.
And that is why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. That is Ilitha, and empowering our communities. And lastly, changing lives by affording and exposing those who otherwise would not be exposed. And I hope that this is something that you will stand by, continue to support, and believe in as we grow and expand this into the rest of the country.
To roll out connectivity to to the townships of our areas and our rural areas as part of, on the back of the SA Connect project. You were worried earlier that you don't want the failures because the failures are going to be very costly. I'm very clear that if we do what we have to do as a department and ensure the tenancy of government in the network of Ilitha and others, because there are others, in the network of Ilitha, you are not going to have failures. You are going to reap the profits. So I make this commitment, and my bosses are really here. I make this commitment to say in the next 6 months, we're going to finalize a partnership with Ilitha and related entities as part of the model. Because it's always wrong when we want to use our own enterprises, but we do exclusive agreements with Microsoft, with Cisco and related. And we go to Treasury and request for those deviations. I'm known, I've gone to Treasury to request a number of deviations to make sure that we can progress. Because a commitment that South Africa will be connected by 2025 across, whether by broadband or by satellite, or any other means that we're going to be able. And they'll have access to 1 gig broadband. Every household will have access to 1 gig broadband. Can only happen when we invest in companies that are here, because it only takes a Vuyani Jahana who comes from Tanzania to know that Tanzania is a viable investment if people are willing to take risks on. So we have made a commitment to roll out 4G and 5G to rural areas and to the townships. And that commitment, I've indicated that it's not government that's going to roll out that. It's industry. But you cannot have a telecommunication sector that is closed. A telecommunication sector, even if it wants to consolidate, it must open for new players. And the new players must be enabled to participate by ourselves. Because of all the telcos that are there, it's only Telkom that is owned by South Africa. But Ilitha is again owned by South Africa. Others are owned by South Africa. It's an investment in those who understand that when we go to Tanzania, when we go to Engobo, when we go to Flagstaff, they can invest in because it's their home, they don't see risks, they see potential and opportunities. And our commitment to roll out 4G and 5G is embedded in what you have said, Mr. VG. When you have said it's not only about the network, it's about the services that are embedded on top of the network. It's about the ability of the women of the Eastern Cape who can then package the red soil and the white soil and sell it overseas for skin treatment. It's also because a young person who is writing matric today, who's writing robotics, who's writing data analytics, who's writing for the first time biology in isiXhosa in these exams, will also have an opportunity to go and take umhlonyane and package it as a product for an international market and sell it from here. We know that we are saying to the DBSA, IDC, and other funding institutions, and we're going to throw the post bank, we are on course to make it a state bank, to say fund these enterprises, fund companies like Ilitha and others to deploy fiber, to roll out connectivity, to just be in the ICT space. But we know that the challenge of investing is too tedious. The cost, the sunken cost is too much. We have a responsibility from government side to make sure that we lighten the burden. There was no need for Ilitha to put new poles here when there are electrical poles that are owned by the municipality. I'm responsible for the rapid deployment policy, and we have finalized it. We are going to make an amendment to make sure that access to way lifts is not only the street way lifts, it includes the municipal owned poles so that we don't defect. But we reduce the cost of investing in townships, because if we have to trench, it's going to be very unaffordable for our people to have access to that. The package of 3 rand and 5 rand a day, it's as free. And we need, as government, to make sure that we pull policy instruments that will enable that you can continue to reduce the cost, because that's when you challenge the cost of data in this country, and then we could reach universal access to services, because access are now rendered through internet. We have indicated, Program Director, that our commitment to digital migration and to universal connectivity for South Africa is not for the beauty of it. It's because it talks to access to basic services. The fact that you are deploying Ilitha network today, we're switching it on today, it will mean a pregnant woman in Mdantsane in the evening who goes to labor will no longer battle to look for the next ambulance services to take her to Sicilian Makiwane Hospital. Because when they call and the number is not going through to that ambulance service, they will know, they can check on the internet because they have data and be able to access the next internet service. It will mean a child in Mdantsane who's not able to attend class because she is not well or he is not well will be able to sit at home and attend virtual classes. The schools there will be connected, and we don't want to connect them differently. We want to latch on the Ilitha network. So, as I am honored to switch on the network later today, I am grateful that you are making me look good and I'm achieving my targets through you.
What this means that this network is today connected. And we want to show you.